All right, it's Super Centex After Dark with the Trib Friday night gang. Chad, DJ, Michael. Great to see everyone. I'm starting with my game tonight because I had the best game. I don't care about Chad's game. I know apparently it was probably pretty good, but I'm sorry. It's going to be
Wait, how often do we have multiple comeback wins to talk about? I
no
mean,
doubt, no
let
doubt.
me before you get into yours, let me just say, like, I spent all week researching these fantastic games for our Waco ISD Stadium tribute, the top 25 games in Waco ISD Stadium, and heck, if we didn't see a couple tonight, they
No
weren't
doubt.
at that stadium, but man, they were fantastic games.
No, we'll get to the dud over at Waco ISD Stadium in a second with poor DJ. Uh, we should probably get hers out of the way. No, here.
We'll make a dud game sandwich. You start with yours, and then
Yes,
we'll do.
that's a good idea. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So yes, my game. First of all, I don't know how many people on my way to the field said, "Boy, that was a tale of two halves, wasn't it? Tale of two halves, tale of two halves." I'm like, I said, I'm not using that cliche. I'm sorry, Uh, but um, yes, that it was two different games. Um, Everything that could go wrong for Midway in the first half did. It was a Murphy's Law kind of night in the first half, and you did feel like, boy, if they could just start playing some clean football, they could make a game out of this. That I didn't necessarily uh I wasn't counting them out, but I didn't necessarily think they were completely out of it either. I thought they could get back into it. But they're down 34-14 at halftime. And here's how it went. First play of the game, fumble, Lathan Wissington. Mansfield gets it, boom, touchdown. A few plays later, 7-zip. Uh, Midway's second possession, Andrew McNair throws an interception. Mansfield scores on that, so now it's 14-0. Then after it's 14-0, boom, surprise onside kick. And they get it back and they go score again. Now it's 21.
Hmm.
And I think when they made it, they had McNair had another pick, and that made it 28. And then on the kickoff, after that touchdown, um, they pooched it. Mansfield pooched it, and it took one of these crazy bounces where it hits the ground and flies back towards the kicking team.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know, and you're like, I mean, is it just a curse tonight for Midway? Um, you know when they did finally do some, they had one drive where they went 75 yards in two plays. I mean, that's the Midway I've seen all year in the first half. But anyway, it's 34-14 at halftime. And then after the normal 28-minute high school halftime, you get like a 20-minute delay coming out of halftime because there was a Mansfield fan that had some cardiac event. And so they're attending to that person in the stands, and you have this long delay. And so I don't think that affected the game at all. But finally, they start the second half. I haven't heard anything about that fan, but it was kind of a scary moment. Second half, Midway had five possessions in the second half. Four of them resulted in touchdowns. The other one, they knelt out the clock to win the game. Defensively, and to me, the defense was just as big a story in this comeback because Mansfield's first three possessions, three and out, three and out, three and out.
Of the second half, yeah.
Right. And then finally, when Midway does take the lead, they go up 35-34. And then Jaden Fields Vaughn, who I've talked about before, that kid's crazy electric. He got in, and his second carry of the game, he breaks off a 50-something yard touchdown run. Now it's 42-34. So then,
Yeah, I have this text thread with some Midway friends of mine and Midway parents now, and all I put was JFV double
JFV,
exclamation point.
baby. JFV. He's fun, dude. I'm glad he's back. So then Mansfield puts its best possession of the second half together. Starts moving into Midway territory. They converted a 4th and 12. But then it's 4th and 2 at the Midway 23, and Midway stops them for a 1-yard gain. Defense goes crazy, and Midway was able to, run out the clock from there. Big win for the Panthers. Here's how big it was. Joe Gillespie said after the game, he said, "Look, I'm not a big stat guy, but I was doing some research, and I looked. I was curious to see when the last time Midway was 4-0. Well, the last time Midway was 4-0 was 2017. 2017, Chad will remember well. They were 15-1 in 2017. He said in the last 15 years, they've been 4-0 3 times. And the other years were like 12-1 and like 13-1 or something like that. So you're talking like 40-3 of those 4-0 teams. He's like, I'd like to join those, I'd like to make a run like that. It's not any guarantee, but it does say something.
I can't let the moment pass, especially on After Dark, without saying and teasing those Midway moms from 2017 a little bit, because they went to the state championship game and they made T-shirts that said 15-0. Like they jinxed themselves.
Yeah,
Why
right.
would you make T-shirts that say 15-0? You're not trying to go 15-0. You're trying to go 16-0.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, mamas are mamas. All right, let's get the dud out of the way and go talk to DJ. So, look, I think we all agreed that Ezra Martinez is a good hire for Waco High. I think, but this is not an overnight project, and yeah, they lost to Navasota tonight. What can you say? I mean, it was a 4A team, and they lost big to them. What was that score, DJ?
56-21.
Yeah.
And I missed half of the first quarter because there was a wreck on I-35 in Belton, like as I was going into Belton. And so I lost like half an hour.
You didn't see a whole lot of competitive football then, did you?
No, I get there and it's 21-0, Navasota.
At least you got to see Waco High's points.
Yeah, yeah. But I was under the impression when you asked me to cover this game that Navasota was gonna be bad. Because you were like, oh, Ezram's gonna get his first win, right?
I said, I don't remember how I phrased it, but I definitely thought Waco High had a chance.
We all picked Navasota.
Okay, we did all pick Navasota, but playing a classification down, and man, I mean, Waco High should have won last week. And I talked to Ezra about it this week, and he knows it. The Lions know it. Should have beat Cleburne, but
yeah, I covered the game last year when they played Cleburne, and I'm pretty sure they won that game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. The thing I can say about this Waco High team is that the vibe is different, right? I don't think they're bad because they're bad at football. I think they're struggling because they're learning. And and even like Esrom says it, they're a bunch of like sophomores and juniors, and he's trying to build a culture there, right? And like last year, and this is nothing on Linden Help, but while I was covering the team, it just didn't feel like they wanted it. So,
and
you can feel that sometimes.
Yeah.
Man, coach has been trying to build culture in there ever since Tusa left, and I don't think people. I hope that Johnny Tusa gets into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame one of these days, just out of sheer recognition of how he kept that program at that level. I mean, some of the greatest teams I ever seen were Toose's teams that their defense would just bottle up the opposition.
Oh, they're incredible.
And I gotta say, the defense I saw tonight for Waco High, even though they did give up a lot of points, they came back out in the second half and they were physical and aggressive and like, and I was like, God, they're gonna put a kid on a stretcher if they play like that.
Yep. Physical
But
defense, huh?
yeah, they had an interception at the end of the first half, right? Like they were kind of taking away some of the momentum, but like just did not have enough to make a comeback. And they really did hurt themselves with their inexperience because there were a lot of flags. I was telling Michael when I came in, there was some like dumb things, little things holding, blocks in the back. There was one penalty during a punt. Waco High was punting, and the guy that the kid that was like getting ready to catch the punt was on the ground before the ball was on the ground because whoever was tackling him did not time that right. And I was just like,
Catch interference.
Yeah. But they didn't give up. That's the other thing is like if they had played this game last year and whatever, like a team had gone up, 56 to 14 on them in they probably would not have like put in the same amount of effort throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Because they scored their last touchdown with like 2 minutes, like not even 2 minutes, like I want to say it was
just fighting to the end, huh?
yeah. They continue to play throughout the game.
Yeah.
And I do got to give one of their several of their upperclassmen, their seniors that were there from, that were playmakers last year, but like I feel like are really stepping up this year. Played really well, but Bryant Whitaker didn't play the first half, came out, had maybe 4 carries, although technically only 2 of them counted because the other 2 there were penalties involved. 2 of those carries were for 80 yards. One of
Wow.
them would have been a touchdown if it hadn't been for a holding call.
Mm.
And I asked Ezra about it, and he was like, he's got presence, he's got versatility, and we're probably going to use him, as a receiver threat, maybe a quarterback. But yeah, I just think it's a lot of youth. It's a lot of people who are still learning.
Yeah.
And even he told one of the first things he told me because I asked him, like this has got to be pretty challenging position for you, and he's like, yeah, like I told the seniors that whoever didn't want to be here could leave, right? Or like because there's a lot of people that are like that, and it showed last week when they were beating Claiborne, they didn't know how to win. They didn't know how to not let it go to their heads that they were ahead.
So I got to add a little bit, and I hear what you're saying. It's going to be a long road for Ezra and them. I got to add a little bit to my Tusa touting from earlier. I shared this with Bryce and Michael earlier this week, but when Waco High beat Copper's Cove in overtime, I think it was in 2007, and RG3 scored on the last play of regulation, and then Waco High ended up winning the game. Bryce, you went and interviewed Tusa, and what he told you is that guy, meaning RG3, can make chicken salad without any chickens.
Right. Which is a variation of another quote, but
but it is such a great, I mean,
such a great
I just had such a good time looking through old game stories and finding little nuggets, especially from Johnny Tusa like that this week.
Back to Ezra for just a second. Ezra has coached excuse me, at university. He's coached at Midway and he's coached at Waco High. He knows the culture at Waco ISD. He knows those kids. He knows what it's going to take. I've seen him dig out of holes. I saw him do it at Midway as their interim head coach.
Careful.
Yeah. We'll go into Robinson here in a second, yeah. But and in talking to him this week, he did say, no matter what happens against Navasota, he thinks partially because of the district that it is, His team still, even as young as it is, as much as it's got to learn, can compete for a playoff spot in that district. We'll see if it happens, but I appreciate like that he's still pushing them toward a goal.
Hey, he engineered a great comeback 2 years ago at Midway.
Yeah, pretty good one.
A great turnaround.
All right. Good stuff, DJ. Especially for a dud game, but 41-40 was your game, Chad.
Yeah.
We'll get to Michael's here in a second, but
that's kind of like that makes me think of 51-50.
Yeah, which was
the great Van Halen album. Eddie Van Halen back behind me there.
Yeah.
No, I put in my lead that sometimes you see that slogan, like what is like, so-and-so fight never dies and all that a lot of teams use. And for Robinson, it's RNQ, Rockets Never Quit. And I use that in my lead and in my story and everything. But yeah, I mean, they had their chance to quit tonight because they were down 41-21 or 40-21. And Glen Rose was doing whatever they wanted to do, right? And they had a big play. Bryce McCurdy went over the top to Dylan Medlock for a 50-yard touchdown that I feel like kind of got him going and maybe kind of punched Glen Rose in the gut because Glen Rose hadn't won yet tonight. And you could kind of sense I spent the second half in the Glen Rose stands just because that's where I ended up after I, took photos and used all the good daylight I had in the first half. But I just don't know. Glen Rose was driving the ball, and their quarterback was getting first downs with his legs, and then they just kind of like abandoned that, and they got off schedule. And it was one of those drives where if they score a touchdown, the game's over. But they weren't going to kick a field goal because they didn't hardly make an extra point the whole game. But Robinson stopped them with 4 minutes left. Robinson stopped them, and they're down 40-35 at that point, and get a couple of first downs. And as we've all seen with that game-winning drive thing, if you can get a first down or two, then you start to build momentum and whatever. So they got a couple of first downs, and they had a 3rd and 10, and Kevin Brown said it's the play that they rep the most in practice. And I don't exactly know specifically, the play, but all I know is their wide receiver, Braden Terry, I think, got open, kind of sat down in the zone there, and Bryce McCurdy found him, and they converted a 3rd and 10 with a 29-yard gain down to the 24-yard line. And then everybody in the stadium knew it was going to be the Evan Marino show, and he only took one play, went 24 yards for a touchdown for the go-ahead score, 40 seconds left. And, what was crazy is I was sitting over there in the Glen Rose stands and kind of watching them kind of get in position to take a shot. I went down to the field, and I was watching from field level, and Glen Rose's quarterback, whose name is Judd Connolly, which is kind of a funny combination of words because Judd is Robinson's athletic director and Connolly is one of their district opponents. But anyway, his name is Judd Connolly, easy enough to remember anyway. So Judd Connolly throws a Hail Mary, and I'm standing down there on the sideline. They throw a Hail Mary, and it looked from where I was standing like Glen Rose caught it to win the game. And I'm sitting there going, what number caught it? Who caught it? Because, I needed to put it up on X and all of that stuff, and I needed to know for my game story. And then the Robinson players are signaling no catch, no catch. I think everybody in the stadium experienced like this 5 seconds of, well, what just happened, right? But then I don't know. I don't even know who made the final decision, but I saw Lonnie Judd. Speaking of Lonnie Judd, I saw him crossing the field. I said, "What happened?" And he said, "The ball hit the ground." And so the ball hit the ground, right? And Robinson survives 41-40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kevin Brown's got the Rockets going. And I don't know. I mean, it's one, I said it to Joe Gillespie. I said it's one game in a long season, but what can this do for you? I mean, I do feel like pulling out wins in these kind of games can have lasting benefits.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rockets never quit, by the way, we've now seen that from their football team in the last couple days now. Well, I mean, it was tonight. We saw that with Bryce. You watched their volleyball team do it,
Hmm.
and I watched their
Hmm.
softball team do it. I think that mantra really does kind of run deep in that school.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're gonna wear it, embrace it, and use it, I mean, lean into it as much as you can.
Well, I feel like, I feel like Robinson has maybe been a sleeping giant for a while.
Mm.
There's no reason when Robinson looks around at Midway going to a state championship game, Lorena winning a state championship, China Spring winning a state championship. There's no reason why that can't happen in Robinson.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
I
All
will
right,
say this.
go ahead.
They got to get better in the trenches in a hurry because they're going to play some teams, La Vega, Gatesville, probably from what I've kind of been looking at scores that are going to test them up front.
Yeah.
They had veterans in their defensive line and their O-line last year, so I would imagine, that there's a bit of turnover coming in this season.
Well, yeah, those young bucks got to grow up fast. And one of my longtime good friends, Zach Northern, is the O-line coach at Robinson, I believe. So get them going, buddy.
You know who I see at Midway games all the time now is Greg Jacobs, the former Crawford coach. His son, Tanner Jacobs, is the special teams coordinator at Midway. So
yeah,
he's at Midway games because
Greg Jacobs, one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's retired now. So.
Really good dude.
He and I were both at the Texas Tech Oregon State game on Saturday.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We said that Michael might have the game of the week in Bosqueville and Rosebud-Lott. I don't think it's probably going to top Chad or I's game, but what did we learn about the Bosqueville Bulldogs who are still undefeated?
Well, they're still undefeated. They're off to their best start to a season. That's 4 straight wins to open the year since 2012. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense is legit. Their front seven just completely just dominated up front, really made it tough for Rosebud-Lott to find success, particularly in the second half. And Dax Ferris, I mean, we've been keeping up with his stats, and I mean, he's been a playmaker for them in a lot of sports. He was a really good third baseman on their baseball team. He is a dude, man. Like, I mean, so he finished with 204 yards and 2 touchdowns on 21 carries. He kind of iced the game with a 71-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter to put them up 35-21 to ultimately win it. But I'll tell you what, well, and he also had a huge pass breakup on fourth down just a couple minutes later to help ice the game too. So he's doing it both
2A
ways.
guys that are just
it's awesome, man. Yeah, it's great. Camp Ewens is another one. He's out there just looking to hit people on both sides of the ball when he's carrying it and when he's playing defense too. But I'll tell you what, this game could have looked a lot different because there was a moment. This would have been early in the fourth. There's about 10 minutes left. Bosqueville's up 28-21 at this point. They get in inside the 10 on the short. So they're about to score. They're nearing the goal line. And it's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. Well, it's 3rd and goal from the 7 or the 8. And Dax Ferris, he kind of scrambles left. He had been taking direct snap handoffs all night and just been plunging forward, but he kind of worked his way left and like did this little like jump pass. I don't know if it was like a unique play call or whatever, but he like I didn't see who the pass was intended for, and it was picked off. And the guy had just no one in front, so he takes off down. I forgot who got the pick, but it was a pick six. I mean, he got all the way, he scored, and we're thinking, whoa, it's about to be 28-28 with the rest of the fourth quarter left. This is a game. We've got a game here. Well, there was a flag back at the 20 or whatever, and there was some sort of some sort of personal foul. Maybe it was a block in the back. I didn't see what's the guy. The ref didn't have a mic that was being broadcast over the loudspeakers, so I didn't see what the actual call was. But called back. They had to go back all the way to their own 20, and they were forced to punt later on. So and then again, Dax Ferris had the 71-yard touchdown to ice it. So again, it could have been a much more maybe dramatic finish. But I mean, tip your cap to Bosqueville under second-year head coach Reggie Patrick. You know, he was at China Spring. He's got those guys rolling. He said 12 seniors. They've really bought in, and hey, they could be something that could make some noise in that district. We'll have to see.
Nice. Yeah. Good stuff. Any other games y'all want to quickly talk about?
The Moody Bearcats are 2-2 now.
You're all in on Moody.
Yeah. I should probably talk about University too from yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
There's not a whole lot. I mean, Bryce always mentions that tale of two halves cliche. That's kind of what it was in this one. I mean, University was playing pretty tough with the 6A team and Colleen Shoemaker. It was 14-14 at the half. I joked, and I kind of blame Chad for this too. For
yeah,
how
I showed up at halftime.
I mean, I had joked that, and I put it in my tweet. The first half wasn't necessarily the like track meet we expected. I thought both of these teams, with all the speed and and the athletes that they have, it was just gonna be off to the races. Well, it was more slow and methodical in the first half. I think both teams possessed the ball maybe 3 times apiece. Well, how did it happen, Chad? So we had huge return for Colleen, and then one play touchdown. Then London.
Yeah, and they had that one-handed catch.
Well, that's what capped it. So they had a.
I made a loud noise in the press box, and I had to apologize to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, so it was a huge return that set up a short field. They scored a 40-yard touchdown or whatever. Colleen does. Then ensuing kickoff, the ball's bobbling around. London Smith picks it up at the 10-yard line, and all of a sudden there's just a huge seam ahead. So he bursts forward for a 90-yard kickoff return touchdown. We're like, whoa. Then another huge return by Colleen comes right back. One play, that wide receiver.
Oh, that was the one-handed.
That was the one-handed one down the right. It was the most insane play at the high school level you'll ever see. And we're like, whoa. We've had more points in the last. And that all happened, Chad, in like 45 seconds. It was crazy. It was just unbelievable. And then what? We've harped on this storyline with University for probably years now, and it came up again. The penalties really hurt them. Chad, you saw some of that in the third quarter before you left, and it carried over into the fourth, and it just really did hurt them at the end.
Mm-hmm. Good for KDBTX, who got to broadcast that Shoemaker University game. They had a little Thursday night football with Dan Ingham and Royden Ogletree over there. I actually had it on before the Bills-Dolphins game, and I was watching some of it, and then the Bills-Dolphins game come on, and I had to see my fantasy guy, James Cook. I was starting him. I had to see how he would do. But
he didn't do as good as Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. My
Cook did fine. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown. So
okay. Spread the wealth then, yeah.
But it sounds like I missed some good plays, so I'm kind of torn. I should have picked. I should have done the double, the split screen. One
on the computer, one on the TV.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'll just quickly mention shutout wins tonight for the West Trojans over Hillsboro.
Yeah, Mike from West, our old buddy Mike from West, told me West looked good tonight.
Yeah, Valley Mills got a shutout win, 42-0 over Blooming Grove. Live Oak got a shutout win on the road in Austin over Austin Hill Country. So, good defense.
I'm intrigued by two results.
You had me drive here when I could have gone to cover Live Oak.
All right, I'll get you a game closer to Austin next week.
We'll see.
Two results that intrigue me. Last week, Crawford beat Hamilton, and I guess maybe they had a hangover from it, and Hamilton didn't, because Hamilton rises up and thumps Clifton, a bigger school tonight, 42-7.
Yeah, that score jumped out at me too. By
the way, Axtell smoked Crawford. Did y'all see
that? Yeah, I was
going to say Axtell beat Crawford 34-7, and I guarantee you, if Craig Horn were the type, he would be letting us hear about it, because all of us picked Crawford.
Absolutely.
True. It might be a case where Axtell still has some speed.
They do.
So we're gonna have to see the Longhorns here pretty soon, I think. All right, good stuff. Well, yeah, we'll meet again next week and talk about some more stuff. But let's go to bed.
My goodness, it's 12:17.
Yes, let's.
Why didn't Zach hop on? He could have talked about the party.
The Savannah Bananas.
Did he go see the Savannah Bananas tonight? Where did they play?
In Round Rock.
Yeah, he saw the Party Animals versus what is the other team?
the Texas firefighters.
Firefighters, yeah.
My buddy Ryan pitches for the party animals, and I should have texted him, be like, "Hey, get me into this game."
Gotcha. Instead, you got to see a blowout game at Waco ISD Stadium.
We love you, DJ. We love you. See y'all later.